Hey guys, so I'm doing this while it's still fresh in my mind. I was watching ZFG doing the Majora's Mask randomizer, and I just made a video earlier about a Zelda video, and I talked about how Nintendo can have some in Zelda games can do some really good writing, which I mean a lot of their games are well written, but then there's just those moments that really stick out with you. I talked about like Majora's Mask, how like the entire game is well written, but then you have moments like with the side characters like Anju and Cafe, Cremia and Romani. The very end where you see the Deku Butler, the only one who is not celebrating because he finally found his son who's dead. Just it hits you so hard. And I was like thinking about favorite Zelda moments, or just really moments in the game that really stuck with you. Um, so just starting from I guess the beginning. So Legend of Zelda, uh, there really isn't much to it. You have the moments like when you first start out, the "It's dangerous to go alone. Take this." Um, I think maybe because it's really not, it was more gameplay. It's not really story driven. It's just go to dungeons, collect the Triforce pieces, save Zelda at the end. So I could say something like, "Oh, the very end, of course." Um, but no, I think the favorite moments that stuck out for me was kind of like the little hidden secrets that you'd find. You know, the little, it's a secret to everyone kind of thing. It was just really fun and clever and good way to get some quick rupees and stuff like that. Um, Adventure of Link, I mean, obviously waking up the princess at the end after, she's been in this deep sleep for ages because of her brother. And now the heroes come along to kind of finally wake her up. Um, which means at that point in time, there's two Zeldas coexisting. As I guess that would be the cool moment. It's not directly stated, but that means that there's two Zeldas coexisting in the same timeline at the same time. There's the Zelda that we met in the first Legend of Zelda that we saved, and then the Zelda that we meet in Adventures of Link, and she wakes up. So now there's two Zeldas walking around. One is extremely older than the other, but there's two Zeldas at the same time. So you know, there's that. Um, Link's Awakening. Wow, I think the moment where they pretty much tell you that that everything is basically created by the Windfish. That the entirety of Koholint Island is just the dream of the Windfish, and what that means if Link is to wake up the Windfish, what that actually means. Um, it's a little more uh it's not so subtle. It's more telling you what happens because you fight the shadows or enemies and we'll be like, oh no, we can't let you do this. So it's a lot more in your face than the subtlety of like Majora's Mask and those sad stories at the very end when the moon's crashing down. Um, but just the realization that you know if you wake up the Windfish, everything disappears, just poof, gone, because nothing there is real. So all these friends you've made along the way, Marin and everyone else, they disappear. Um, that's an incredibly good moment. Link to the Past. Uh let's see. It's been a while since I played A Link to the Past, man. Um, oh my god. I just had one. Oh my god. Oh my god. I hate when that happens. You have it right there. You have it right there. Um, oh my god. Um, I mean, I think it's really more of the story-driven parts. Learning more about Ganon, um, and like the imprisoning war and stuff like that. Um, because obviously those early games really didn't have, cutscenes really, or really they had story, but they weren't story driven. It's just basically save the princess. While it's still save the princess now, it's a bit more complicated. You look at Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and stuff like that. It's a little more complicated. Um, but Link's Awakening, Link to the Past, because I just said Link's Awakening. A Link to the Past, I think definitely like the little tidbits, Ganon backstory and the imprisoning war and stuff like that. Um, about the maidens and their connection and Aghanim and his true identity and stuff like that. That it's good writing. Um, and then we jump to 3D. Okay, so we've got Ocarina of Time. uh most Probably the most hard hitting was the moment where, spoiler alert, Sheik is Zelda. I think it's that moment that is by far the coolest. Um, you're interacting with this character. She's helping you out, or they're helping you out, because at that point you don't know if Sheik's really. Rudo says, tell him I said thank you or whatever. So, you know, she refers to Sheik as a boy, but you never know. It's like, well, it's very masculine, but it's got the blonde hair like Zelda, so it might be Zelda using some Sheik magic, the Sheikah magic and all that. But the reveal, and then not only after the reveal, but then Ganondorf's like, "Yep, he fell right into my plan, right into my hands. I let you do this. I've been watching you. You really think I'm stupid? I wanted all this to happen because I want you to come to my castle. Come on, I just want to talk." That moment, the reveal of not only Zelda has been Sheik this whole time, but Ganondorf essentially letting you go through your quest because he wants you to come to his castle, and getting Zelda to reveal herself and having that moment where he can take her guarantees that he's going to get that final confrontation that he wants. So I thought that was brilliant writing. Um, that's one moment that really sticks out. The whole Sheik doing this, and then you see the Triforce on her hand, and it sticks with you. um I guess seeing Kakariko on fire because it's so happy and such a chill place, and then you go and the place is on fire and Bongo Bongo breaks out and Sheik gets attacked and we get attacked, and it's just a really cool moment. um Nabooru being brainwashed, tragic, absolutely tragic to see. But yeah, the moment with the reveal of not only Sheik is actually Zelda, but Ganondorf, like, you, you stupid kids. Uh, this is what you get for messing with me. Majora's Mask, wow. The entire game. The entire game. No, like I said, the moment of the moon crashing and where the moon's coming down, you go to Romani Ranch. That discussion between Romani and Cremia. Uh, like I said in the last video, it's like you don't realize what Cremia is talking about, but as an adult, you're like, oh my god, you know. Um, like I said, Anjun Cafe, like that clock is counting down, and at like what, a minute left, Cafe comes into the room. He's like, "Sorry, I'm late," and it's just like, um that whole the whole thing with Lulu and like the eggs, how like her babies were taken, and it just, you're like, "Oh my god, game, why are you doing this to me?" The very end where everyone is celebrating and the freaking Deku Butler is the only one who isn't because he finally found his dead son, and you realize, and his son, the writing for that, it's so simple, but then you realize There was nothing you could have done. You healed Darmani, you healed Macau, and this poor little Deku scrub is the only one in Termina who you couldn't heal. And he unlike everyone else who has been healed and moved on and is celebrating the people who are alive. No, the scrub is the only one who didn't survive this. And you're like, oh my god. Oh my god. Um but all of Majora's Mask is just, freaking with Skull Kid and that whole idea and feeling of like loneliness and abandonment because the giants being his friends and he felt like they abandoned him, and this anger and sadness that he felt, and it was just so good. It's the happy mask salesman at the end with his words, and it's just all of Majora's Mask is just beautiful and sad and just I can't say enough about it. That's why it's like my second favorite. Well, no, actually, it's my favorite game. Second is the next game, Wind Waker. Um, Wind Waker, awesome moments. When you're first on the island, with the Helmrock King coming and swiping arrow, and Link in his desperation tries to jump for her, only to find that he's hanging off the cliff, and Tetra and her crew are like, "You idiot! If it wasn't for us, you'd be splattered on the ground right now." They didn't say that, but it's pretty much what they suggest, kind of imply there. I thought that was a great moment. It really set up that Link for us to show that he was a hero, that he didn't care about the risks. He saw his sister being taken away, and in that moment, he ran and tried to jump for the Helmrock King, even though he's just like, ah. Um, just a great moment. Uh, any part that has Makar is just absolutely adorable. For something that doesn't have a face, he's just so expressive. Um, so I love the Koroks in general, and I'm glad when in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I'm so glad they were back there, even though it really doesn't make sense timeline wise. But they're so expressive, despite the fact that they don't really have like expressive faces. They're all kind of fixed in like one state of, you know, they're all like either or, but they're so expressive, and I think that Nintendo with their writing, they're able to take something like a Korok and make them so expressive despite not really having a face. It's just, again, they can do it. Um, the end with Ganondorf when he kind of has a heart to heart with you. He's like, "Yeah, this is why I did it, and I don't really want to kill you. I just want the Triforce piece that you have." He's a lot older. He's a lot wiser. He's a lot fatter. Um, being sealed away, they must have had some freaking all-you-can-eat buffet that he was frequenting all the time because he got big. But yeah, they're just a heart to heart that he opens up this evil man, right? And he opens up to Link. He's like, "Yeah, I mean, this is why I did it, because I felt like my people were basically screwed over by Hyrule. They got to live these prosperous lives while we burned to death in the desert. We froze to death in the desert. So I just wanted what was best for my people." And then when he says that, "I'm not going to kill you. I just want the piece of the Triforce you have." And then when you see this broken man after the king comes out and makes his wish on the Triforce and Ganondorf starts laughing, that's him being that's a broken man right there. He loses it, all sense of hope, all sense of, the niceties, and he's just snapped at that point because he's like, "Okay, there's nothing more I can do." So he's just a broken man, and but that whole heart to heart thing was just really awesome moment. Great writing. Um, Twilight Princess. Wow. Where do we begin with Twilight Princess? Um, I think the scene that really sticks out for most people is Midna when she's exposed to the light by Zant. Um, that whole rush to Hyrule Castle. Um, and you have Midna's lament playing in the background. It's just so sad, you know? and they get to the castle, and Zelda gives up her light, her life, her Triforce piece, or whatever you want to call it, to save Midna. So we see Midna being healed, but then Zelda gone. At least her spear, because we see her body later on in the Ganondorf fight when we fight Puppet Zelda. Her body's there, but it's like her spirit really isn't there, or the light has left her. But yeah, that scene of in your mind of rushing to get the castle and that song playing, Midna's slumped over on Link's back, Wolf Link's back, and it's like you're worried. Is there a timer? Am I gonna make it in time? Is there gonna be a moment where we just have to fight something? Is she gonna die? I mean, like, what's gonna happen? We need to know. Um, but then she's saved by Zelda giving up her life, or her life force, or um, definitely stuck out. Uh, the whole with the end of actually, I know. I think another scene that really sticks out and is really good because of the writing and the visuals is the death of the water sage. When they have that flashback of showing Ganondorf's execution, um, they're so confident in themselves and this ability to execute Ganondorf, but he survives using his Triforce piece, which he didn't even know he had. And he breaks out of the shackles, lunges forward, and just he's just like, die. And then in their desperation, they're like, well, guess we have to seal him in the Twilight Realm. Uh, Only that was the worst thing he could have done, because he goes there, he makes a pact with Zant, because Zant's a whiny little baby, and he's like, the kingdom is mine. And Ganondorf's like, I'm your god now. Lend me your body and we'll do whatever you want, but your will is now mine. Your desires are now mine. But yeah, that in the end, uh not just the end, like when we see this thing on the ground, and we think we know it's Midna, and we think it's just regular Midna. And then she stands up to reveal that she's absolutely gorgeous, and we're like, whoa, Midna, the crap I said about you this whole time, we thought you were a goblin, but you're freaking hot. We can go out and do like couple shit or something. Like, you want to go swimming? Um, and then just the ending, the actual ending, like during the credits, they're back at the Arbiter's grounds with the mirror, and just when she breaks the mirror, you're like, why are you doing this to me, game? Why does Link lose every companion he has? You know? Um, but just all of Twilight Princess was just, it was such a good game. Um, City in the Sky could have been a little better. Actually, most of the dungeons themselves, Water Temple, City in the Sky, uh, not really fond of. The swimming was fun. It's just water temples are never fun. They're always irritating. But then what we have after that, we've got Skyward Sword. Same thing. Where do we start with that? Where do we start with that? Um, Honestly, one of the coolest, best written characters is Spectro, who's like this demon, but he's not really a demon, as in like, oh, he's not super evil and scary. No, he's a very good person who just wants to help people. But obviously, because of the way he looks and because he's a demon, people get the wrong idea and they're like, oh, we can't have him around here. So he lives in Skyloft, but on like this little, this path downward. He lives like isolated down there. But you help him throughout the game, and his writing is just really good because it's like, once again, it shows that just because you were born a certain way doesn't mean you are a certain thing. Just because he was born a demon doesn't mean he's evil and, ooh, I want to kill and eat everyone on this island. No, he was a very good person. And if I remember, one of the NPCs, one of the women, her daughter was going down to visit him all the time because they were friends, because she saw him for what he was a good person. Um, so the writing with that was just really, really good. Um, Groos's character progression, being from this snotty, jerky jock to pretty much the hero of the story when you think about it. I don't think Link would have been able to finish anything if it hadn't been for Groose. Um, Zelda sacrificing herself to, seal herself up for like what 100 years or something. The heartbreaking goodbye with Fi and Link, and just the whole thing is so well written. And that moment with Fi coming back out just for a moment, you're like, why are you doing this to me, game? Why does Link have to lose all of his companions? Um, but like I said, Groos's writing was really good. That moment with Impa and Zelda, where you see that Impa has the bracelet that Zelda gave her, and Impa said, "I told you we'd see each other again." But then she immediately like dies afterwards. You're like, "Are you doing this to me, game? Do we not have enough sad moments?" Uh Also, the writing for Zelda in that game is by far one of the best Zeldas. While Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, that's by far the best written Zelda. She is like the Zelda of all Zeldas. She is the Zeldiest Zelda who could ever Zelda. Uh, she's just she's amazingly written. She's an amazing character. Let's see. Skyward Sword Zelda would definitely be next. Twilight Princess Zelda. Uh, and then it's kind of between either Wind Waker Zelda and Ocarina of Time, because Wind Waker Zelda, she didn't know she was Zelda. She was extremely helpful to you. You became friends with her, but she didn't know she was Zelda. With Zelda in Ocarina of Time, from the beginning to the end, she's helping you. In the form of Sheik. So I would say Ocarina of Time Zelda, and then Wind Waker Zelda. Simply because, again, we don't really find out that, well, Petra doesn't find out she's actually Zelda till like what, halfway in. So, and while she is helpful, Zelda was helping Link out for all this time and throughout his journey, and even before he was awakened, she was kind of prepping things for him. Um, but yeah, just those Zeldas. But definitely Zelda's. All like most Zelda moments in Skyward Sword are amazing. The interactions with her and Impa, whether it be young Impa, old Impa, doesn't matter. They're so well written, and you feel like these characters have known each other forever. Um, let's see what else. What's coming after that? Um, I know we've got like Age of Calamity, but or Hyrule Warriors, and they're Oracle of Ages and Seasons, and Minish Cap. I forgot about those. Oracle of Ages and Seasons. I think probably the best written, coolest part was the end, like the true end. The entire time, Twin Rovar, they're trying to capture Zelda so they can sacrifice her, to revive Ganon. But we go and get to their hideout, and we face them, and we beat them. And in their desperation, because they don't have Zelda, they end up sacrificing themselves instead, which it brings Ganon back. But because it's like an impure resurrection almost, he comes back as this brainless, mindless beast who just wants to destroy. Ganon, despite his appearance, he's incredibly intelligent, a brilliant tactician, and that's what they wanted. But because they sacrifice themselves rather than Zelda, he just comes back as this beast with no thought process. He just destroy, destroy. So I think that was definitely the best written part of it because you didn't expect it. You didn't expect them to sacrifice themselves, but they did. Minish Cap. I think Vadi's whole backstory about, he was once one of the Minish and got the wish granting cap, and just because of how he was treated and stuff like that, he wanted the power, and so he became this powerful wind mage. And uh, the fact that he turned Zelda to stone, that that's is like he had no care. He was like, I'm just gonna go in, I'm gonna do what I need to do. Zelda, stone. Um, when you meet the king, you know, former king of Hyrule, of course he's dead. Uh, it's pretty cool. I mean, whenever you meet a former king of Hyrule and you get some backstory, King Gustav it's pretty cool. Um, the ending, obviously, the way to the Minish, to sealed off. Um, the Vadi fight itself, it's like a Frieza Sephiroth kind of thing. It's like you fight him, and then he's like, haha, this isn't even my final form. And then he transforms. And then you beat that one, and he's like, haha, this isn't even my final form. And then he transforms again. It's just so good. It's a fun fight. And it really kind of tests your ability in the game because it is a hard fight. And some people are like, yeah, it does take a while. But it's well worth it. It's a fun fight. Vadi is an incredibly well-written character, well written, and just interesting in general. And I really wish they would bring him back. So, uh, and then you have like Four Sword Heroes and or Four Sword Adventures and stuff like that. Triforce Heroes. I got the names mixed up. That really are just more like fun games. They have kind of, like Four Swords Adventures, like Ganon coming back and Vadi's there, and but it's uh, what other games? All right, I think we're finally up to like Breath of the Wild. The whole thing with Zelda, just Zelda was an incredibly well written character. Seeing her not being able to use her power, and she's going around to all these springs and praying and hoping that she can somehow unlock this power and learn to use it and everything to save everyone. And when she realizes that it's just not happening, how she just kind of breaks down, and you know it's hard to watch with her because you feel so bad, because you can see she's doing something, she's trying. um so just her going around to the different springs and uh trying to just unlock this power, because she's like, this is like the only way we can defeat Calamity Ganon, you know? Um, and then at the end, her finally, just woof and just unleashes the power of the Triforce essentially and just destroys Dark Beast Ganon. It's like you feel like this, yes, she did it. Finally. After all those trials and tribulations and all the hardships she's gone through, after 100 freaking years, she finally did it. And that's one reason why that Zelda is the best. Because just to do that, just to stop Calamity Ganon, that alone took 100 years. Link is defeated. She keeps, Calamity Ganon contained within Hyrule Castle. So for 100 years, she's doing this. And then Breath of the Wild comes along, or Tears of the Kingdom comes along, and everything's hunky dory, and then she gets sent into the past. She becomes a freaking dragon, and then for like what, 20, 30, 40,000 years, possibly more, she's a dragon. And she does it all with the intent to get the Master Sword back to Link. and while it's she's doing that, to infuse it with her divine energy. So like that Zelda has made more sacrifices than any other Zelda, and she's so well written that you like it. I said this before. The moment where she becomes a dragon, you know it's going to happen, and I see so many people expecting it, and they still burst into tears when it happens because it's still heartbreaking to see. And that is good writing. You know, when you know something's going to happen and you're still just like you break down in tears because it's still just that hard to watch because of everything she's been through and what she's going to go through. That when she's flying up and you see the tears and you realize tears of the kingdom, that's tears of the kingdom, and you're like, oh my god, when it finally hits you. And then when you see the last of those memories and you see all the silent princesses around you, you're like, oh my god, oh my god, Nintendo, why are you doing this to me? um so moments like that, I think Breath of the Wild had some great moments, but Tears of the Kingdom, like every cutscene was so well written. Sonya and Rauru being like parents, you know, oh, a hero is he? The playfulness of them, the when she's explaining things and saying, "Oh, I don't know how I'm gonna get back," and Sonya like hits Rauru in the side, and it's kind of like, "Come on, say something. You're king. Say something." They're just so fun and playful, and the writing with Sonya and Zelda when they're together, just how motherly she is, and the ceiling of Ganondorf, the music that goes with it. Same thing. Everyone I've watched so many people play the game, and when they get to that part where Ganondorf is being sealed, like at least his body's sealed. The music starts to play. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, the music!" People start to cry because it's just an epic, well-written moment. Um, and then pretty much the entire like the beginning of the Ganondorf fight all the way to the end, it's just well written. Just awesome moments, one after the other. Seeing Ganondorf like choke on his fist to swallow the stone. That his dragon form, he's so evil that his horns have horns. You know, the freaking nuclear blast that happens after defeating him. That sweet little smile that Zelda has when she says I'm home, and you're like, game, why are you doing this to me? Um, the very ending with Minoru saying goodbye to saying goodbye to Zelda, and um, after she leaves, you see that her construct is just it has no energy anymore. You're like, why are you doing this to me? And then that just amazing speech that Zelda has, and the pan out with the music and perfection. And then you get to the title screen again, you're like, it was a pretty good game. It was okay. It was decent, you know. But that's the kind of writing. It's moments like that that stick out with, even 20 years from now. The moments in Tears of the Kingdom, despite what you think about the story itself, those cutscenes and those moments will stick out and you'll remember them. Here we are, Zelda 25 years, uh, or well 25 years, well over 25 years now. Zelda was what, 2000, or 2000, 1987. So it's been like 30 years, 35 years. I mean, 1988, so 35. But Ocarina of Time, I believe, is like what, 25 or something, which is crazy. But just the fact that This series has been around for so long, and even earlier games, you can remember certain moments because of just how well written they were. But then you have Nintendo like, oh, we're gonna introduce the Zonai finally, but now you still don't know anything about them. Well, maybe you'll find out in the next game. But let me know your favorite Zelda moments. What were the moments that really stuck out with you and why? What was it? Was it the music? Was it the dialogue? Was it something as simple as just the scene setup? I mean, let me know. Um, and if it happens to be one of those terrible CDI games, you're dead to me. No, I don't return in a month. Send dinner. Send link. But yeah, let me know. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.